we get a thumbs up yet, Teresa?
Yes, we're good.
Oh, we did.
Oh, we did?
Wonderful.
Oh, okay.
That is wonderful. Good morning. Welcome to the Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting of February 24th, 2021. This meeting will now come to order. We will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our inspirational word for the day comes from Romans. Do everything possible on your part to live in peace with everybody.
Very inspirational, Commissioner Lundy, as usual. Okay. We will begin with A, resolutions.
Number 1, investments.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
Yes.
Oh, number 2, appropriations.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 3, transfers.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 4, advances, repayments. There were none. Number 5, requisitions.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
Yes. Item number 512 is a bipolar ionization units that are being installed at Job and Family Services at the Cooks Building. There was some poor quality issues over there. I just want to publicly thank Dan Gross, our facilities manager, and Tim Carrion for working together to get that taken care of as quickly as they did. So I just wanted to do a big shout out and thank you for taking care of that. So.
And those should be reimbursed by the state.
Yep, it's like $58,000.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Thank you, Commissioners. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 6, travel. There was none. Number 7, bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
The next item of business is number 8. Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the personal summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. At the conclusion of today's board meeting, the commissioners may recess into executive session to discuss personnel and new hires and various board appointments. The next item of business is number 9. I move to approve the meeting minutes and waive the reading of the minutes of February 9th, 16th, and 17th, 2021.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? I also want to thank our county clerk, Teresa Upton. I know this was a lot of work with all of these meetings, so thank you very much.
Welcome.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 10. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize Thomas E. Williams, Lorain County Administrator, to utilize the county's Loramet Visa credit card not to exceed $5,000 for permissible expenses in accordance with the policy in Ohio Revised Code 301.27.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
We'll be able to review those monthly, correct? As they come across our sheets.
They should come across the sheets as normal. Yes.
I don't think you'll find any Bahama trips on there. So
Well done, Commissioner Lundy. Okay. Credit limit is standard for the needs of the county. And I did verify with the budget director that we are in line with what the previous county administrator had used. It's primarily used for reservations that need to be booked in advance of travel for commissioners or employees with regard to training and continuing education. We know that the COVID restrictions will be lifting. Well, we anticipate that they will be lifting at some point, and some of those in-person things will return. However, I think the Zoom meetings are here to stay. So that's all I have on that. So, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 11. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize a payment to the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation in the amount of $61,381 for the True Up policy period of January 1st, 2020 through January 1st, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
Okay, next item of business is number 12. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize County Administrator to have the authority to approve and authorize the payments to expedite the process of the county health care vouchers that outlines the county's carriers, which are Medical Mutual, Delta Dental, and Elixir RX Solutions, LLC.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? In 2012, the Board of Commissioners approved Resolution 12375 to authorize the county administrator to approve and authorize payments to vendors. We have updated the vendor list. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the Office of the Sanitary Engineer. The next item of business is number 13. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Amend Resolution 20-437, adopted and entering into a contract with K.E. McCartney and Associates to prepare the final detailed plans and specifications for extension of the sanitary sewer southerly on Broadway to south side of State Route 52. I don't think that's right, State Route. Should be 57. Sorry. During the development of the Spiegelberg property into the new Carvana distribution facility, a TIF was established to generate these funds for future infrastructure improvements, including the sanitary sewer extension. The said amendment is to reflect the account numbers QCon Project Apple Pie Engineering Projects.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? You do have it correct on the actual resolution, Madam Clerk, so it is right there. Okay, guys all set? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Okay, stormwater management. Next item of business is number 14. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Amend Resolution 20-762, adopted November 25th, 2020, awarding contract to Dennis Construction in the amount of $83,110 for the Cobalt Ditch restoration. Said amendment is to increase the contract by $13,000, total not to exceed $96,110, to include the maintenance of the King Ditch due to the inclement weather.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Workforce development. The next item of business is number 15. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize said payments to be made for various programmatic and administrative costs that are available through WIA Program Year 20 funds, available for a 2-year period, July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2022, and TANF Fiscal Year 20 funds, available for a 1-year period, October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Children's Services. The next item of business is number 16. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize various personnel to utilize the agency's MasterCards for the year 2021, not to exceed $2,500, in accordance with their permissible expenses.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Is there any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Moving on to the Office of the Engineer. The next item of business is number 17. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Accept and journalize the 2020 report on bridges for Lorraine County. This report summarizes the condition of 235 bridges, structures over 10 feet in the clear span that the county owns and maintains.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Is there any discussion from the board?
I would just only add that, this indicates the importance of infrastructure in our county and in our state and in our country, and how important it is to keep up with everything. And, just in our county alone, having those structures, obviously we're not talking about big spans in most cases, but it just reinforces the importance of the message of in government, how costly it is to keep up with infrastructure improvements that are needed.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is the 2021 Bridge Condition Report. Madam Clerk, is this going to be available online, and where could the public find it?
Yes, I spoke with Sean at the engineer's office, and he said that they will upload it onto their website.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Commissioner Moore, anything? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yep.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 18. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Execute the cooperation agreement between the county and city of Elyria, Ohio for OPWC Round 34 application in the amount of $391,382 for the repair and resurfacing of Lowell Street between State Route 113 and the Conrail overpass, Larry Township, in the city of Elyria.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? This is an Ohio Public Works grant that was awarded to the city of Elyria in December of 2020. Lorraine County will enter into a cooperation agreement with the city of Elyria to get the project completed. The city of Elyria will be the lead on this project. Ohio Public Works is funding approximately $307,900, or 79%. The Lorraine County engineer will participate with 7%, or $27,799, whichever is the lesser amount. The city of Elyria will participate with $55,682, or 14% of the project cost. I'd like to add that Mayor Whitfield and the city of Elyria have done a great job on this one, securing grant dollars to get this project going for the residents. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yep.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 19. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Approve and enter a proposal of Bromhill Engineering and Surveying Company, Inc., in the amount of not to exceed $49,500 to assist with general engineering services on a task order basis. Authorize engineer to execute on behalf of the Board with prosecutor's approval as to form.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 20. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Approve and enter an agreement with CTL Engineering, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $30,000 to assist with materials testing and construction inspection as a 12-month task order basis. Authorize engineer to execute on behalf of the Board of Prosecutors proposed to form.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 21. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Approve and enter an emergency contract with Crossroads Asphalt Recycling, Inc., Columbia Township, to supply 500 ton of number 9 limestone at deliver price of $18.80 per ton. This is used as a technique to conserve the amount of road salt used during each and every snow and ice event. The Highway Department in the engineer's office routinely mixes the grit with the rock salt.
Move to approve. Were you done, Teresa?
Yes.
Okay, move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Okay. Next item of business is number 22. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Advertise bids for all labor, material, and equipment for Westview Wastewater Collection System Rehabilitation, Columbia Township. Notice to be in the Journal on March 5th and 12th and open at 2 p.m. on March 23rd.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
I feel like I'm watching Paul Harvey, that little pause before Commissioner Williams seconds your motions there.
Commissioner Moore?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, what'd you call me?
That you sound like Paul Harvey.
Oh,
there
you
with
can
that-
call me
that-
anything in the world, but that was probably, I won't go there.
I'm sorry. I'm a Paul Harvey fan, so
I
I
know.
always appreciated the pause.
Okay, that's the next one I'm going to do then,
Okay.
the rest of the story.
Okay.
And I was thinking how quickly we were moving through it.
Honestly, I keep giving you an opportunity, Commissioner, to second. That's why I paused.
Oh, I see. Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to
Thank
do
you.
like a whole group hug thing this week, where we can all participate.
Yeah, he's trying to keep me on my toes here, my record keeping here.
But then he goes off and calls me Williams. I don't know. I'm going to need a hug after this.
Okay, boys. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Thank you for getting the name right. I will say aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Okay, moving on to the sheriff. The next item of business is number 23. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Enter into a contract with Dr. Rick Kessler, Rocky River, to provide inmate medical services at the jail effective retroactive to January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023, with a 90-day cancellation clause in the amount of $36,000.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy.
Not going to miss an opportunity.
The motion was made by Hung, seconded by Lundy.
Oh, you get his name right.
Any discussion from the board?
That's because he went to Ohio State.
Oh.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Okay, we are moving on to the reports section of our agenda, which I ask now if the county administrator, Mr. Tom Williams, would like to deliver a report. However, Mr. Tom Williams is not here. Our county administrator is not here, so I would think that's a no. Moving on to C, Assistant County Prosecutor, Mr. Dan Petticord.
Yeah, thank you.
And we have armed you with 2 microphones this week because we did get some complaints.
And I apologize. I took my mask off so you can hear me better while I do this. Generally, I won't have an extensive report because of what happened last week and the questions posed to me by the commissioners about the effect of Robert's Rules of Order. I thought it was appropriate to talk about that at this point. The first question that was somewhat at issue last week was whether it was appropriate for a member in Robert's Rules terms to make a motion during or at the end of a report delivered in a meeting. In that respect, in my opinion, the chair was correct. Commissioner Hung was correct. Section 41.14 states, if an officer in reporting makes a recommendation, he should not himself move its implementation, but such motion can be made by another member as soon as the officer has concluded his report. For that reason, I believe it was correct to rule the motion out of order last week when it was made during the report phase of the agenda. A more general question came up as we discussed that during the meeting yesterday, and that was, when is it appropriate for a motion to come up from the floor during a meeting, particularly a meeting governed by the agenda? I've provided the commissioners with more extensive notes on this, and nobody wants to hear a disquisition on Roberts for hours, so I will hit the high points. Effectively, the high points are a member can make a motion under Section 4.4 of Roberts when he obtains the floor and no other question is pending and when business of the kind represented by the motion is in order. Roberts goes into some detail about how precedence needs to be addressed when obtaining the floor. That most of that does not apply to smaller boards like this board, but essentially, to obtain the floor, you must be recognized by the chair as having the exclusive right to be heard at the time, and the chair is required to recognize a member who seeks the floor when entitled to it, meaning when there's no other business then before the board. Most of Robert's Rules talks about an ordinary assembly governed by an agenda, and it provides an exemplar agenda which contains a section for new business. Our agendas tend to not contain any agenda for new business. However, even without that agenda, item of new business when the items on the agenda are completed and before a motion to adjourn is made. It would be appropriate at that point for a member to seek the floor, be recognized, and make a motion, because no business would then be pending before the board. I've cited some sections to you, and you can see that. An alternative method of adjourning a meeting, which is the one, generally speaking, the chair follows here, is set out in section 2115. And I'm going to read that because I think it's particularly important to how this board tends to conduct its business. That section provides that when it appears that there is no further business in a meeting of an ordinary local society, ordinary local society is not defined in Roberts, but of course it's not, right? But it generally means a smaller board that meets regularly, which I think is us, okay, or which I think is you.
I wouldn't say we're ordinary.
Well, I wouldn't either, but,
I don't think I'm ordinary, but,
Well, it's a hard truth for all of us, gentlemen. I don't know what to tell you. So you threw me now there for a second.
Well, I can say after last week, Mr.
That
Petticord,
normally goes through a complete order of business at each regular meeting, which we do when we go through the agenda. The chair, instead of waiting or calling for a motion to adjourn, may ask, is there any further business? If there's no response, then the chair can then say the meeting is adjourned. If there is further business and a member wants to seek the floor and bring a motion, that would be the appropriate time to bring a motion at that point. Be recognized, make your motion, and then we could proceed to the debate phase under Roberts. That's my answer for whether it was appropriate to do it during a report and when it would be appropriate time, since I don't believe it is appropriate to bring a motion during a report phase.
and yes, Mr. Petticord, I can certainly follow that advice at the end of the meeting.
I appreciate it.
And if nothing, we were very entertaining for the public last week, weren't we?
Apparently, yeah.
it was all scripted, by the way. It was all scripted.
It was.
It was a Lorraine County Commissioners
I have been told that
reality show.
I have not watched the meeting, but I've been told that there are several points in the meeting when I could be seen rubbing my temples when that was going on. So
No, you were doing this.
I didn't have a handkerchief. I was crying at the time, but I apologize. So, and anyway, hopefully that's helpful to you going forward.
Okay, do you have anything extra for us in our
I don't.
wonderful? Zach?
There will be no litigation discussed this week because it's 6 a.m. tomorrow. I'm on a plane ride to Florida, and so I don't want to talk about anything today if we can get away with it. But,
Oh, no, we're keeping you hours.
Oh, thank you for
no,
your report.
there's nothing pending right now that requires the commission's attention.
Okay, thank you for your report. Moving on to D, the Commissioner's report.
Yeah,
Commissioner Lundy.
I don't know what order you want to go in every week, or if you want to rotate orders, Madam President. But I just, if I have the floor for my report, I would just say that, I guess the way that I've been used to reports being handled is that, and I would certainly welcome any questions or comments you ever have when I provide a report, so that we can, have a transparent conversation about it. So I guess I just want to make that clear to both of you that I certainly welcome any questions. I certainly welcome any concerns. And, and I feel that it's important if I bring up a topic or my colleagues bring up a topic that, we should be able to discuss those here in the open forum, because that's the way government business is supposed to be. So I just wanted to start with those comments. Wanted to give you an overview on the Community Protection Committee. We meet every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. A lot of community leaders from the hospitals, the health department, emergency management, the list goes on and on. We had 272 cases last week in Lorain County. That's under 300. That's first time since November. Over 35,000 Lorain County residents now have been vaccinated. That's over 11% to this point. It's important to point out we have a much older, population here in Lorain County. In fact, 50,000 of our residents in Lorain County are 65 and over. The hope is to have those 65 and over vaccinated by the end of March. So, and then this Friday, school teachers, substitute teachers, school staff, custodians, anybody who works in school districts, they're going to be vaccinated. That number is approximately 6,400 people that will be vaccinated on Friday associated with the schools. The thing that we continue to hear from the mental health community, too, is obviously concerns about addiction and overdoses. We had, unfortunately, another large number in 2020. I think it was about 118, 120 overdose deaths. We still have a lot of people overdosing. Thank goodness they're not dying, though, but still a lot of overdoses taking place. The other big issue is loneliness. Loneliness is a real issue for our seniors. So if you have any folks that live on your street or in the neighborhood, call them on the phone. Even if you stop by and knock on the door and have a conversation through the door, but they really need to be checked on. What I'd like, Madam President, for this board to consider and for the county administrator to consider is that we start taking a look at our own employees here with the county and what percentage of those employees might be willing to be vaccinated. The reason I'm stating this is because the county health department is saying that employers should start thinking about how many of your employees are willing to be vaccinated and where you'd be able to stage a large vaccination at your employment location. Obviously, that's not going to happen in the next 60 days. However, they're wanting everyone to start thinking about this. I do know across the street over at the Justice Center, I think they've already started checking with their employees over there, trying to see who would be willing to participate in a mass vaccination. I believe they have somewhere around 270 to 280 employees who are interested in it. So if we could even reach out to our fellow elected officials in this building, find out how many folks would be willing to be vaccinated, and maybe we can work out a plan that the health department could come here all in one day and take care of the vaccinations. So that's something for consideration. The other thing I wanted to point out is transportation budget bill is moving through the legislature. It's one of the first fiscal type bills that they work on when they start a new legislative session. It's important for you to know that the transportation bill is actually $7.5 billion, that's with a B, that we have for road projects in Ohio. But a portion of that money is supposed to go help with transit. Unfortunately, the current proposal is showing $7.4 million for transit. When the governor first came in, he'd actually proposed $70 million for transit. It ended up somewhere in the neighborhood of $67 million, and then this fiscal year dropped to $56 million. But you can imagine what that's like for transit when you drop off that cliff from $56 million to $7.4 million. So that has a real impact on transit throughout the state of Ohio. Ohio transit spending equates to, get this, 63 cents per Ohioan per year. And Pennsylvania spends $129 per person per year. And we even get beat by Michigan, that state up north, $27 a person annually. So I would just encourage everybody, if you could, reach your legislators, let them know about the importance of transit funding. The thing that I am always baffled by is how people don't see this as a jobs issue, how they don't see it as an economic development issue. There are a lot of people that don't own transportation, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, you can either pay for people to receive social service assistance, or you can have people working, but they need to be able to get to work. They need to be able to get to their doctors. They need to be able to shop, and that's where transit comes into play. And as you're going to find out as new commissioners, there's hardly ever a meeting you'll be in where you're not going to hear about transit in this county. Also had a conversation with United Way. I know they reached out to the board, and Madam President, I think you had said you thought it'd be good if I had a conversation with them. I did, and we had a very good conversation yesterday, and I know they're going to be reaching out because they want to have a conversation with each one of the commissioners talking about transit and how we can best work together with Move Lorain County moving forward. And I guess finally I'd like to congratulate my colleague on Michigan's win over Ohio State. An amazing basketball game, an amazing basketball team or teams. They're pretty evenly matched. But how anybody can play basketball against a 7'2" freshman is beyond me. So but I am wearing my Ohio State colors today with pride. So you got your Michigan colors. So there we go. We're even. That completes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy. That was an information packed. So we are going to defer your item about the vaccines for the employees to County Administrator Tom Williams, and he will do the research on that and get back to the board on that. And then Prosecutor Petticord, did you want to just go over the part about the reports and
Well,
how that works?
I think Roberts intends. I'm sorry. I think Roberts intends that if a new matter is raised in a report section, and one of the members finds it important or worthy of consideration at that point in time, I think Roberts intends that the other member can move it for consideration, at which point it could be tabled to another day, it could be held over. There are a lot of things to do with it. I would also note that there's a difference between making a motion and engaging in discussion or engaging in debate, and whether there's a matter in a report that merits further debate or discussion from the board, I think is discretionary with the chair. The question comes up as a matter of parliamentary procedure as to whether a motion is in order as opposed to just further discussion. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I thank you for that, and I will make my report short for taking up the time here on this. I appreciate your help. Good morning, Lorraine County. In last week's Commissioner's Report, I had 2 upcoming meeting announcements. One of them was the Lorraine County Township Association meeting at the Lodge at New Russia Township, and that was on Thursday evening. The newly elected president of the board, Amy Richards, did an excellent job leading the meeting. The meeting was attended by our county administrator, Tom Williams, who introduced all of our current directors. Each director gave an overview of their department to provide information and insight to the guests and members. Administrator Williams also introduced the county commissioners that were in attendance. Commissioner David J. Moore and myself were the 2 commissioners that attended that meeting. Today we will be waiving the board correspondence due to a lengthy executive session we have scheduled. An item of note for the public on today's board correspondence was Chamber Champions. Congrats to ACC Adult Home Care on receiving Home Care's Pulse Best of Home Care Provider of Choice Award for the 2nd consecutive year. And thank you to Community Foundation on recognizing the winners of the Toni Morrison Essay Contest for Lorraine County's youth. For your reading pleasure and to view the essays, you can visit www.peoplewhocare.org. That's peoplewhocare.org. And lastly, the Lorraine County Sheriff has been awarded the Extradition Transport Reimbursement Fund Grant for 2020, the subgrant in the amount of $2,350.90. This grant provided reimbursement to the general fund. Money had been expended to bring a criminal fugitive back to Lorraine County to face justice in our courts where justice will be served. I would like to recognize Kelly Thompson and Sergeant Todd Wiegman, who worked to write, process, and follow up with the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services. Great job, team, and thank you. Commissioner Moore. Oh, this concludes my report. Sorry. Commissioner Moore.
Didn't really have one, but I must have missed something in regards to the previous discussions. I didn't think there was a motion. I considered, was Commissioner Lundy just talking about what he was looking?
Yeah, I thought that was just kind of a recommendation for consideration, wasn't a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not. Yeah, and that's what I was just drawing the distinction between. There's a difference between a matter for debate and when a motion's.
Okay.
I thought that's what I was trying to get across. That,
Yeah. Okay.
Normally I get questioned on whether I'm attempting to make a joke or not, but never question on
right. But yeah, no. There's.
Okay.
I mean, reports are supposed to be.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything there. In regards to Commissioner Lundy's comments in regards to the vaccinations, I don't wish to debate it right now. But if the prosecutor could review, I have a serious problem even with employers doing this, where you're forcing people to take vaccinations, and if they don't wish to take a vaccination, then it's almost like you have HIPAA law violations. Oh, you have HIPAA law. I'm like you. You have HIPAA law violations. If you don't take it, it's almost like asking an employee at the county, are you a Republican or a Democrat, So I know this is a serious matter, but I have an issue with if we're going to move forward with this and our administrator is going to be reviewing how to do bulk vaccinations at the county, whether or not you can do that privately so as not to jeopardize people's you could have this debate for 100 years on whether or not it's a safety issue, whether or not it's a privacy issue. and I'm not putting you on the spot now. I'm just saying if you could start reviewing whether or not this type of activity, 'cause you're gonna have people that are just I know people that are just anti-vaccination.
And look, if I can interrupt for a second.
Okay.
Just so, and this has come up a couple times.
Oh, has it?
And well, not this specific, but the general idea. For something formal that the board wants from our office, and Tom and I have discussed this, and if the board wants, we can act as an office to give you legal advice in a formal way.
Okay.
If the board directs us to. Okay. It's difficult for me to do so when a single commissioner does.
Okay.
So if the board, and we can get a sense of that in executive session or whenever, if the board would like us to research that issue and formally address it in a format that you can use, we will do so. And when the board says so. If you want just some general advice, we can talk about it. But the more formal, formal step would be. It's a complicated question, Commissioner.
No, I know. That's why if it's going to be the next 60 days, we start discussing it. I wanted to make sure that your team was aware of it because I'm sure it's going to take more than sitting up here and go, hey, by the way, it is something that I'm already aware of. It's something that is like a lot of this that is.
Yeah. And
I would say that the board should, if that's what the board wants to do, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Moore, I'd just like to clarify, I'm not requiring anybody to get a vaccination. We're just surveying to find out who's interested.
Exactly.
Because I know there are going to be people who are going to say no. I
Correct.
understand that.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that as we move forward, that I think the prosecutor's office should be engaged. I really didn't have a report, so thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay, so we do have County Administrator Tom Williams has entered the room, so I guess we're going to go to the administrator report.
Yeah, I didn't really have a report, but after hearing the discussion on vaccines, I'm working with Tim Carrion. We're already having conversations with the health director as far as when the vaccines would be available for the employees if they decide to do it. The idea was actually having them do the vaccines off-site. That way you don't have individuals who don't get the vaccines, maybe shamed for not getting the vaccine, where it could be off-site. The other thing that we're looking at, I don't know if you noticed in the newspaper, it's actually in the Morning Journal, there was a story about the Erie County schools where teachers all got vaccinated at the same time, and then they had to close the school down because of that. There was another official I was supposed to meet with last Friday. They got the vaccine and got sick, and there's a lot of reports of that. I'm not saying that people should not get the vaccine, but my suggestion would be that we do it in multiple parts. That way, my concern is if we had everyone at Job and Family Services get the vaccine at the same time, and there's a large majority of the group that gets sick, that's going to hurt our production. So I would look at potentially doing it like every other week to make sure that anyone that does have a reaction to it isn't going to be the majority of the employees. But if that's the direction of the board, to go through and work with all the other elected officials to gauge how much interest there is, I definitely can do that. So,
Commissioners, are you?
Nope.
I just think, Madam President, that the research would show to the contrary, or there are some people who have reactions. I guess mostly what you're ending up with is a sore arm, sometimes fatigue. Yeah, I guess you could show some flu symptoms. They say mostly on the second vaccination is when you actually seem to show, the flu symptoms. And I do know that, at the hospitals, they were trying to stagger staff for that very reason. However, I think as time has gone on with the vaccinations, there's a reason why they have people wait maybe another 15 minutes, see if they have any kind of reaction to it. But I just don't think we'd end up in a situation where everybody's going to have, flu symptoms and we're not going to be able to operate. But that's just my position on it. Yeah. We can certainly, if you want, talk with a little bit more with Dave, talk with the hospitals and see what they're saying. I'm just saying I'm getting a different read on it from them when we have our community protection meetings.
Yeah, again, just going off of what I saw in the newspapers with the school district or school shutting down. And then really my concern is if we go through and we have everyone at, say, an operation at 911, that would be critical. So it could be a mixture of it. Again, whatever the board's will is, just let me know.
I think, as Commissioner Lundy stated, the next 60 days, I'm sure you'll work something out, So
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind,
I will
we
work
know
on
you do
that,
a good job
and-
looking into these things, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, so, again, just so you know, we have been looking into it for about 2 weeks, and now just trying to come up with a plan. So once we get the Job and Family Services done, then we can potentially implement it across all the county. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is the clerk's report. Madam Clerk, will you read the report into the record?
Yes, next Tuesday, March 2nd at 9:30, we'll have a commissioners meeting for the second public hearing on the floodplain reduction resolution.
Okay, our next item is F, board correspondence. I move to waive the reading of the board correspondence due to a lengthy executive session we have scheduled.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Lundy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
I
At this time, I move to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel issues, employment, and new hires.
second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Madam Clerk, please.
Just
Please
testing
call
you,
the
Dave.
roll.
Just testing. Want to make sure you haven't dozed off over there.
Commissioner Lundy was making sure we were paying attention.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
I
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Okay, wait, I already adjourned.
Okay.
We have returned from executive session and our meeting is back in session. I move to approve the personal summary sheet.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Lundy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Meeting announcements. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. Is there any further business from any member of this board? Okay, since there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned.